A long running case now before the Supreme Court of Canada could set a new standard for what's off limits to comedians. Between 2010 and 2013, Quebec based comedian Mike Ward mocked then 13-year-old singer Jeremy Gabriel, who has Treacher's Collins syndrome. According to Gabriel's parents, the mockery resulted in bullying and caused Gabriel to become suicidal. They filed a complaint with the Quebec Human Rights Tribunal, which in 2016 ruled in their favor and ordered Ward to pay $42,000 to the family. Ward has now appealed to the Quebec decision to the Supreme Court. Joining us now is Charisma Mathen, professor of law at the University of Ottawa. Professor, thank you so much for being here. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees everyone the right to freedom of expression. Why isn't that charter right enough to protect Mike Ward in this case?
Well, thanks, Ben. It's great to be here. So you're absolutely right. We do have the fundamental freedom of expression guaranteed under the Constitution of Canada. But all of our rights under the Constitution are also subject to reasonable limits. So that's why we have crimes against hate speech. That's why you can sue someone for defamation. In this case, the issue is that the Quebec Human Rights Code gives persons the right to sue each other or to bring complaints against each other for what are called harms to their dignity. And so here, Jeremy brought this case in the tribunal, arguing that this show and the comments that Mike Ward made against him harmed his dignity. And the lower courts in Quebec found that the freedom of expression was not enough to protect Mike Ward from, in this case, having to pay damages. So this is a classic, really, clash between values of freedom of expression, which of course are protected by our Constitution, but also human dignity, which is a specific right in Quebec, is not really found in the same way elsewhere in Canada, but nonetheless, I think is an important value.
Okay, so those are two concepts that you've just explored, but what else will the Supreme Court consider in their decision in this case?
Yes, it was a really interesting hearing. So I think the Supreme Court's going to consider the degree to which what they call discriminatory speech can be the subject of a complaint in a human rights regime, or whether it has to be attended by some kind of further conduct. So was this comic show, at which Jeremy, of course, was not present, it was an adults-only show, was it discriminatory on its face? Was it actually directed at Jeremy's disability? Mike Ward argues that he was really attacking the notion of celebrity, and he had this entire skit against what he called sacred cows. Why do we have these venerated individuals, and to what extent are we allowed to poke fun at them? That was really part of his entire purpose. And so there's an interesting question of artistic expression and what are the boundaries of that protected under the Constitution?
Whenever a court is looking at issues of rights, we get concerned about the precedent that might set. So what could happen? What could we be concerned with if the Supreme Court upholds the ruling against Ward?
You're absolutely right. We have an adage that hard cases make bad law, and certainly the expression here is such that the jokes and the way that Mike Ward talked about Jeremy Gabriel is such that most people would find offensive. The issue is, if we open up the door to laying complaints under human rights codes for artistic expression, comic performances that do not rise to the level of other extreme speech, like hate speech, will that have a chilling effect? Will it make it more costly, more difficult for people to take down, concepts and ideas that are perhaps very, very popular, right? What is the freedom to speak about unpopular things? On the other hand, and the court, there was some discussion of this, does it matter that the subject here was a child? Does that affect the context, and perhaps would that be a reasonable limit? But there's no question that depending on the way the court rules, this could be a widely influential case in the rest of the country.
Professor Mathen, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully when the decision is handed down, you'll be back to explain it to our viewers. We appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.